And he didn't speak to me, but the urge came, preach. You need to preach. And I didn't. I thought I knew everything. So instead I started doing music, started playing in churches, started hanging out and doing all that kind of stuff. But then I was leaving on a mission trip to Thailand, preparing for language training, and I'm driving home. I had to pull over on 2920, weeping and telling God, I'm sorry, forgive me. I'm not obeying you. I'll do whatever you want, God, whatever you want from my life, I want to do it. I went to Thailand, sitting in an internet cafe in the middle of Thailand, and I have an email from a friend telling me about the College of Biblical Studies. He said, man, you should check it out. I'm really being blessed, teaching me how to study the Bible, and you should come. I thought, man, I'll check it out. I come into the school, they welcome me in, and as I went through my studies at CBS, it gave me a great foundation to look at words and to look at how to study the Bible and why doctrine matters. It gave me such a great foundation for interpretation and for application and for preaching and for counseling. It was a blessing to be able to receive this instruction to then to go and to pursue Christ more. And so as I finished my time at CBS, I was offered a job at a church that they needed somebody to speak to the youth. And so I said, man, I don't really know, I've never done this before, but I'd love to do it for you. And they asked me to come back and to come back again. And then they offered me the job as the college pastor. As I was serving as the college pastor there, some questionable things came up in the church, and Jesus, in his providence and by his goodwill, he closed the doors of that church. And within a month, those of us who were at that church, we began to pray and to ask, does God want us to start a new work here in Tomball? And so we gathered just to pray and just to see what God would have. And we read through the book of Joel that morning. 40 people showed up. Next week, 80 people showed up. Next Sunday, there was 120. Then that's when we realized God's planting this church without us. It's time to get to work for the sake of the gospel and the glory of God. And so there I was. After much prayer, after much counsel, it was evident that the Holy Spirit had placed me at this time to be the lead pastor of the church. It's been so amazing to look back and see what God has done. If you would have told me when I walked into the doors of CBS 5 years ago that God would so move my life that I'd become married, that I'd have a 2-year-old and leading a church, I would have laughed. I would have said, you're crazy, that there's no way God's going to do this with a guy like me. He did. My name is Jeff Metters, and I'm a graduate of the College of Biblical Studies.